Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. It's another session of our OYCA series, OYCA Career Series, I like to call it, and thank you for coming and honoring us with your presence.
Thank
So
you,
I'll go right into the questions. So basically, it's me asking you questions that I think are relevant for young professionals and how they navigate their careers, and then you just respond freestyle. It's a reference point that they would have, when you have questions to answer, just navigating their careers really.
I'm a young career professional too.
No, you're old, sir. You're quite old.
I'm not even 40.
You're an old career professional. So go right into it. So how can someone stay proactive about career advancement in their first few years?
Okay, so proactive means that you have envisaged, or you have, I don't want to use the word proactive again, but you have taken actions, or decisions to do things that would lead you towards the path that you really want to be. Because not everybody has that clarity from maybe childhood to say, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, and those kind of things. So typically, you need to find yourself in certain environments that will help you discover the options and what you really want to do. So student organizations like the ISEX, like the JCIs and NONSA, SAIF, and all of that. And as soon as you're done, you need to, or even before you're done, you need to read a lot of books about career, bear yourself on LinkedIn, do internships and volunteering roles. So once you are then clear, you then need to be consistent, because other opportunities will come that will help you survive. But you need to move very quickly. You need to be consistent to say, this is what I really want. And then because you already have that skill set, from all those other volunteering roles, you're able to channel your CV towards it. And with the right mentors and godfathers, you should be able to get it done.
Thank you very much. So what I hear you is volunteering opportunities, reading vast and wide, basically gleaning from external material to help guide that internal decision you have to make, and then keep it going.
Exactly.
Keep going that. Thank you so much. Second question. How do you balance patience with ambition when looking to grow quickly?
Okay, so patience is really what ambition is all about, right? Because you have to play the long game and you have to trust the process, right? And to do that, you have to be patient, because not everybody is lucky enough. Career and business is really also a huge game of luck, right? Which was why I said earlier about the godfathers, or what technically we call sponsors. I didn't have a sponsor, but I wish I did, right? Some people do have sponsors who mention their names at very early stages. So, but for others, is when they get a bit of career advance that they begin to have sponsors. But irrespective, if you are not an early starter, maybe you're starting off somewhere as an intern, 50K, 70K, 100K, you have to trust the process. Once you're on the right path and you apply yourself to it, you take ownership of whatever rules comes ahead of to you, you have to be greedy about knowledge, right? And trust that process, because if you don't trust the process, you give up, you get demoralized, you join the bandwagon of pollutants and low performers. But if you constantly apply yourself and make yourself be in that 1% of performance, and then trust the process, the growth will come and the career success will come. Everybody that you see today looking like they are doing very well, they didn't start that way, right? A lot of people started off from the very bottom.
Yeah.
And then they are where they are because they were consistent and they trusted the process.
Yeah. So for me, what I hear is trusting the process and looking to grow quickly. You need to understand how to, I guess, navigate your environment as well. Because the idea is I'm trusting the process, I'm patient, but I also desire advancement fast. So you trust that process, but you put in the work as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To grow as quickly as you want.
So if you want to be extra fast, it's important that you are very conscious of your environment. If you are somebody who desires fast growth and you find yourself in an environment that is anti-growth, then you have to be conscious and aware to know that this is not the place for me. And because you're already in the 1%, you put in the extra work and all of that, you can easily exit and map your career, elsewhere.
100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, how can young professionals stay open to unexpected opportunities without losing focus on their goals?
Unexpected. So I was listening to Cobams recently. I don't know if I get you right, but what you're asking me is, I have a goal, and then other things come around. Right?
It could even be at work. So, right, you're gunning for something, say for a particular level or a particular role, and then someone just says, "Oh, you're hardworking. I have this opportunity." So, how do you take advantage and stay open to these opportunities without losing focus on that goal you're gunning for?
So I was listening to Cobhams recently, Cobhams Asuko, the visually impaired genius. So he said that at times blindness or sight can be a distraction. He says sight can be not blind. Yes, sight can be a distraction, and that blindness can be a blessing at times, right? Because his wife would usually go on, and this is maybe applies to most women, would usually go to the supermarket or wherever, grocery or wherever shopping she's doing, and almost 99% of the time she would come back with a lot more things than she had originally planned to go and buy, right? I mean, that's money gone, maybe not at times necessarily things that she immediately needs. So what that means is that there can be a lot of distraction at times when you're heading towards your goals. Some of them are positive distractions. Some of them are, or a lot of times, some of them are derailments, right? So which is why all of these things, they are all intertwined. So if you do all of the first steps at the very beginning, it's important that you also know the kind of distractions that will be enablers to achieving your goal, and you also know when to recalibrate your goal when your realities are no longer aligned with that goal. But aside that, if it's not a time when you need to recalibrate, it's important that every opportunity that is coming your way is not derailing you from that goal, because at times, not every, from the silo that you're in, at times some opportunities are not actually real opportunities, which is why it's important to consult. If you have very healthy circle of ambitious people, very healthy network of mentors that can also help you better see beyond your own eyeballs, then the better for you.
100%. Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, you were clear. I don't think I have to reiterate, but it's stay focused and also keep your eyes on your goals. Get consulting help when you need it, because sometimes these things that you call opportunities may derail you from that final point you're trying to get to. Thank you. Another one is people tend to flog mentorship, but sometimes young professionals may not get quick or easy access to mentors. What's your take on peer-to-peer mentoring, that is learning from colleagues at the same level in the meantime?
So I'm very big on peer-to-peer mentorship. In Canadian consulting, it's compulsory. It's part of your very integral part of your appraisal. You have to replicate yourself in every other. You have to help others, right? So if something is your strength and you can't account for how you have transferred it to others, it's a strike against you in your appraisal, right? Because if you haven't become a master at something until you learn how to teach others, right? So which is why you first need to give of yourself and then look for those who will pour into you. But I see a lot of people, there's a mentorship has become a buzzword, and another thing is I see everybody DMing me, working Ayo Bankole, I want to be my mentor, blah. I had to seal admission of new mentors, right? I mean new mentees, and then streamline to 60. And that's the people that I'm working with, most of which are those who had worked with me before. So I think that young people need to know that a mentor doesn't even need to be somebody that you have told that
100%.
be my,
be my mentor.
So there are different categories of mentors that you can model yourself after, especially those that you have opportunity to listen to often, maybe this talk or they write books, or when I was younger in school, one of my most influential mentors of all time, probably Kunle Olaifa, and he died. He died many years ago. Just at 33. And it's not as if I sat with Kunle, Kunle, you're my mentor. But he did mentor a lot of ISECers. Kunle would go everywhere. We would have conversations. And all of that. And he just made himself available. And his career, his trajectory was admirable. So you check people like that profile once in a while on LinkedIn. You see what they are up to next. You see which schools they went to, which programs they did. It helps you model your own life, right? So it's not until, and then you know what is right for you. So once you have that, your goal, okay, what's my goal in life? Do I want to be a board connoisseur? Do I want to be a businessman? Do I want to be an HR person, finance person? You look at people like that. And then, that's how you build in direct mentorship. And if you're lucky enough to find direct ones, you also use advantage of them. But do not waste people's time, because if you do, you're going to make things difficult for others, the other genuine ones.
Yeah, that's true. I hear you, because these days people just throw around the word rather mentor everywhere. I know, and you need to actually understand that anybody can mentor you in any ramifications,
Yeah.
right? It depends on what you're looking for. You just even need to be clear about what it is you're searching for, and then you pick your mentors as you like.
Exactly.
It can be your peers, it can be those that have gone ahead of you, it can be people that you talk to regularly, or people that you don't even engage with at all. The thing is, just seek help as much as you can and let these people directly or indirectly guide you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And your final question: what was the defining moment of your career? Right? You recently posted about how you changed careers. You know, what instigated that change, and how did you know that you wanted or maybe needed that change?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So I mean, most times everything that I teach, a lot of times from my own personal story, or my experience from my years in consulting and talking to other people. So the first advice I give is actually from my own personal story. So I knew I wanted to be a strategy person. So I drew inspiration from my mom that I wanted to be involved with businesses because of how her tenacity when she had to raise me alone after my dad died. But I didn't know how until when I joined ISEC in uni, and that was probably the most significant inflection point I've ever had in my life. So I was in ISEC, I did projects, interesting stuff. I enjoyed planning of projects, right? I enjoyed writing the decks and all of that. In fact, people would come to me from different associations to help them review their decks, and they would win a lot of proposals back then. So it was not until I think 2008, if I'm not mistaken, I attended a national conference in ISEC, and that was where I learned about strategy, because it was a national planning conference then, which is called NPC. And I learned about strategy and balance. I'm interested in this. And I went back to isec.org, devoured all the materials on there. So I wanted to be a strategy, but I wanted to do consulting. But the first job that came to me was technology consulting. And it was interesting, so much fun. But I clearly wasn't cut out for it. So I couldn't even I couldn't be the best of me, because that wasn't really what I wanted. So I left and went to KPMG, and that was where we met, right? And I hated it. I hated, being in tax. I hated doing immigration and all of that. So because I knew the strategy I wanted to do, even at that time, I was drawing process maps for all the workflows that we had in the unit, and everybody was like, this guy is so good at this, So I initiated conversations in KPMG to move to strategy, and I had spoken with a couple of people at that time, and it was looking very good. And then I got an offer in PwC to do strategy because I had wanted to chase it. But if your story is not like that you already knew what you wanted to chase, then you follow all those other things that we said earlier in terms of those around you and those that you need to talk to. So for me, that inflection point was that ISEC, and the time when I knew I needed to leave was when I had had enough doing what I didn't want to do in KPMG. So I was willing to go and start again. So I applied again after 2 jobs to PwC as an entry level fresher. And at the interview, they told me, I have this experience. Why don't I go to tax in PwC and then cross as a senior? I said, no, I want to go and learn again. And everything that has happened has, built up to my experience today.
100%. A few things stand out for me. First of all is you going for that conference, and you picked your curiosity and you went and you learned more about it, and you developed that competency because you loved it, right? So you grew that hunger and you fed the hunger more or less. And then another thing is you were willing to take an entry level role just to ensure that you did what you wanted to do to get that satisfaction. And I would say it's paying off. Right now, you convene the biggest SME conference, helping a lot of companies with their strategy, and you're forced to be reckoned with, if I must say so myself.
Well, you have been to watch me. I feel like a watch car.
Don't worry, you're good. So, I think there's a lot to learn here.
So there's something I forgot.
Yeah.
So while I was doing tax and immigration, during the time I was writing the test in PwC, I bought this book called Strategy Management. It's an actual voluminous book, red book, and I read the entire stretch of that book. Everybody at the regulator's office would be telling me, hey, why? What's going on? Are you planning for an exam or something? And I said, no, this is the career I want to move into, And some of them still keep in touch with me today, and I'm like, this guy, you said so back then. So that's what I said earlier. The patience to trust the process and the tenacity is very crucial.
100%. I wouldn't say more after that. Thank you so much, Ayo, for coming. Thank you. I know that this will be very helpful to people and help give clarity to people who are currently asking them some questions on what they need to do, where they need to go, how they need to go about what they need to do. And I hope that we have given you, that's watching, some clarity. And thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Bye bye.